Okay. Hey, welcome everybody. God is so good. And I want to, there are so many people I want to shout out, and there's probably not time to shout out everybody. So those of you that have a part in this, in the production of this and making arrangements for this, just know in my heart, from my heart, that I appreciate you, and God certainly knows, and you will hear God say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." So there's your reward someday. But I do have to mention Erin. Erin has somebody God has intersected her path with, and her name is Aaliyah. And Aaliyah, I'd like you to come right on in here and just have a seat right over here next to me. Yeah, thank you. Aaliyah, I've only known you for about 3 minutes now, but we're so glad to have you, and we are just eager to hear the story. How did you intersect with Erin?
Actually, I've known Erin for 3 years now. We went to the same co-op, Paces Paideia, and last year I was actually her intern her history intern actually. So I was teaching and I was able to work side by side, and she's just so passionate about everything that she does. So she told me about this actually today, and she was so passionate about it, and I was going to look it up, and then she's like, "Just come online. I want to tell everyone about you." So I'm really excited to be here.
Well, now Erin was really bragging about you. Apparently, there's some kind of competition for speaking.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
So through PACES, I was taking a speech class called Rhetoric, and each of the students had to do an oratory contest, and we had to make an original type of speech. So I chose my speech. The topic it's pro-life, but the topic was abortion. And so I actually used a personal story of a couple that we knew from my church, and I used their story, and so I actually got first place. So now I get to represent Texas in DC. The competition is actually July 9th. So I'm really excited. I've been practicing over and over. And so I'm just really honored to be a spokesperson for Texas.
Aaliyah, now are you going to use the same speech you used for the Texas competition, or do you kind of reset and start over?
It's the same one. I've tweaked it a little bit. I've had a lot of input, a lot of feedback from my coaches and different people. So it's the same one. I'm a little nervous, but I have it completely memorized. So I'm ready.
Yeah, you look real nervous, Aaliyah. Yeah, right. How long is the speech?
It's about a little bit over 6 minutes long.
Okay, we want to just rehearse it now. Summarize it for us. Tell us what you talked about in your speech.
Okay, so the beginning I talk about, there's this couple, I don't use their real names, but in the speech they're called Crystal and Jordan. Mm-hmm. And so in the beginning they're really excited because they're having their first child, and they've been recently married, and it's just like a picture perfect pregnancy, super excited. And Crystal, she goes in for her ultrasound, and the doctor tells them that they have bad news, and the baby actually has a rare disease called hydrops fatalis, and it's so rare that only 2% of the babies who have this disease actually make it. So the whole speech is going about what they did and their belief, and how their belief in God was high, but then circumstances caused it to go back low again. And actually, it's a really true story, and my church and several churches around our community were praying for the miracle of this baby, and it really didn't look like the baby was going to make it. Actually, the doctors told her, "You need to abort this baby, or if you don't, you're going to birth a dead baby." There was no hope at all. But we kept praying, we kept believing, and literally at the last moment, the baby was alive. And so totally a miracle. He's now 2 years old, and the parents' faith has just encouraged our whole community, and it is so amazing. And so I'm so glad that I get to share this amazing story with everyone.
Now, I've been told that you were participating in a ProLife Camp.
Yes.
I teed it up. Tell the story.
Okay, yes. So it's not necessarily a camp. Actually, from the oratory competition, I was offered a scholarship from Texas Right to Life. And so I received that scholarship, and so I just finished the training last week. And there, including me, there's 20 other students who actually were part of. So it's a really big group. And we all have a scholarship so we can start or keep our pro-life groups in our colleges going. So the whole part of the training was to equip us, to give us some tools, to give us a lot of information, and to give us practice on what to do in our pro-life campuses and our groups, actually. So it was a lot of training, and from 9 in the morning to 9 at night, so a full 12 hours of just learning, because there's so much stuff. There's a lot of negative, but they encouraged us to change it to a positive. So I'm really excited.
Well, if you get a lemon, make lemonade.
Yes, exactly.
Aaliyah, I would presume you're college age. Are you in college?
Yes, I'll be a freshman in college.
You've taken quite an interest in the pro-life movement. Is there a story there?
Yes, actually, there is a story. There's one actually more recently during my training that I was actually telling Aaron earlier today. When we were at the training on one of the days, we actually go to Parenthood and we pray. And my church is really about prayer, and we pray in the prayer room, but it was really different for me to actually go on the facility and actually do it. So I was a little nervous. But while I was there, the Lord actually encountered me, and I was just seeing like all these cars going in and out of the facility. And that was pretty like overwhelming, because for some reason, I guess I just didn't think there was going to be that many people, but there were a lot. And one of the facts that we learned during the training is Planned Parenthood puts their facilities predominantly in minority areas, so African American, Hispanic areas.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
My heart was just totally overwhelmed, because that is my race, those are my people, and I was just grieved that these people just don't have the knowledge to know that there are other options than abortion. There's other facilities, there's other places that they can go. And so for my major that I want to do in college is education. I want to educate, the young, but I also want to educate my people to know that there's so many other choices that they can do. And so that is now like my passion, to learn information and to share it among others.
Aaliyah, excuse me. You're correct. I'm aware that abortion facilities tend to locate themselves in and around minority neighborhoods, but of course, that could be argued that that's where the demand is. So, but there does seem that there's an element of exploitation there, or at least an argument could be made that that's the case. So, if I could ask you, you referred to that as your people and your, in your opinion, Aaliyah, where's the disconnect? Is it something about being black that makes you more promiscuous? Is there something about being black that makes you more likely to get pregnant? Is there something about being black that, I don't understand the disconnect, because the African American churches are very, very active in social issues. And it would seem to me that there is a social issue of racial genocide in effect here. Where am I missing something, or is there just, I don't know, help us out.
I think that it's definitely a generational issue that just goes on. I just don't think it's necessarily a black thing to be promiscuous. I think everybody goes through that. The biggest thing that my culture and my age group specifically is, we're just not taught abstinence, and our parents aren't really teaching us that. We have so much different outlets that we want to try. And so that's just not our primary thing on the list. Actually, that's probably like the bottom. People would probably laugh at me that say that, I'm a virgin at 18. That's just not heard of. And so I just think that in order for us to change the tide for abortion is really to keep abstinence really high on the list, and for the churches and our leaders, the ones that we all respect, our youth leaders, to really teach us that And when we have someone that we respect teach us that, I think that we would actually do it.
Well, Aaliyah, I've served on the board of a crisis pregnancy center ministry, and so the issues that you raise are of interest, and I don't know that any of us have the answers, but I certainly wanted to get your perspective, and I also want to commend you, Aaliyah, because there are not many young people today that are willing to publicly take a stand for the biblical model of marriage and family. Mm-hmm. And there are not many 18-year-olds that haven't bought into the pagan culture that seems to think that, if it feels good, do it, and hey, if you get pregnant, well, we'll make you unpregnant, and it's very evil. And I just really congratulate you, and it's good to have, it's good to know that Texas has a spokesperson like yourself. You have wisdom and maturity far beyond your years, and we, the PJNet team here, even though you're new here, I want you to know that we are really, really, really proud of you, Aaliyah. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing tonight.
Yes.
All right. Well, folks, that was if that doesn't move you, you need to check your pulse. What a moving story from a fine young woman standing up for Jesus Christ and standing up for what's right. There's hope. There is hope, and it's great because I had two different conversations today. One thing that we want to do here is we want this to be a place where people come for hope and encouragement. And Aaliyah has served up a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement for us today. So we have been very blessed already. So with that, I'll turn the controls back over to our video co-hostess for tonight's event, Sunbelt Girl.